Hey everybody, it's Johnny5 Alive here, and welcome back to another TemTem video. Today we're going to be looking at the Dr. Hamijo boss battle in TemTem. This one was actually quite surprising, threw me for a spin, and I thought it was actually quite fun, and you get a nice, super rare TemTem, or I guess a story-only TemTem, as far as I could tell, for defeating this, which is very cool, and we could talk about that a little bit later. So stay tuned, and let's check it out. Alright, welcome back everybody. If you guys are new here, be sure to smash that subscribe button, and if you end up enjoying the video or find it helpful in any way, please do leave a like. If you'd like everything that I do here and want to support the show further, you can check out my Patreon page. Any support is appreciated. And with that out of the way, let's dive into today's video with the battle versus Dr. Hamijo, and this one is kind of interesting. It threw me for a spin. By the time you get to him, you might be kind of battered and bruised. As you can see from my starting two are weakened, and I have two TemTem dead. So let's quickly take a look at his lineup of TemTem. So he comes out blazing with a Gazuma, a Calibus, followed up by a Teifu, a Zobian, and a Siapot, which some pretty cool TemTem in here. I mean, Gazuma's evolved, Calibus evolved, Zobian is evolved, a digital TemTem, and those are pretty darn good. But the one thing that's really interesting about this lineup, generally speaking, it's all weak against lightning. So if you have a lightning heavy base such as a Gazuma of your own, or a Genki and a Nesla on the right side, you can do some massive damage here. With that said, his Gazuma, which is a starting TemTem, is lightning wind, which doesn't really give you a whole lot of options other than if you have a crystal TemTem. Generally speaking, there are not a whole lot of weaknesses that the Gazuma has, but that doesn't mean you can't do some regular damage to it. So as you can see with my starting lineup, I actually have a very risky build here coming into this, and my team is already battered and bruised. Starting with an Oceana and a Nesla, both technically water TemTem, although the Nesla is water lightning, which is going to expose the Oceana to the lightning damage, and then Nesla will just take regular damage from that. However, with a huge tsunami, we make quick work of it. The Calibus takes a lot of damage from it too, and lightning as well. So follows it up with a Teifu, which is a nature TemTem. You're not going to do a whole lot of damage at all with lightning or water, but if you do have a fire or toxic TemTem, you can kill that Teifu quite easily. But I came into this battle quite unprepared, but I did have a Saku in my back pocket, which does have toxic damage, luckily. So we're trying to keep my Nesla alive because I am on death's row. I didn't realize that I was going into the battle, and I didn't get a rest before the battle. So I'm just battered and bruised, and I was like, no, we're gonna lose this boss battle just because I didn't get to heal. I didn't know what he was gonna throw at me. So this is one of those wing it battles, and so I try to get my Nesla out of there before anything bad happens. But I take out my mental TemTem, which was a terrible idea because they take double damage from digital. However, it did allow me to just absorb the blow. No matter what, that big attack that the Zobian uses is gonna pretty much kill any of your TemTem, even if they're resistant to it, or unless they're resistant to it, I would say. So it absorbed the blow, allowed me to pull out my Nesla. Now I'm dealing with two TemTem who are weak against lightning. So I'm hoping my Nesla can get off a chain lightning, but it was too weak and gets knocked out. So I used my Saku's turn to fire off a revive. Now, generally speaking, I don't like to use these items, these consumables during these boss battles because I just want to see how difficult they are by default standards. So I had to do this, otherwise it would have been a wipe, and I wasn't fully prepared for this battle. So I was really going in with like two TemTem worth of HP. So we revived our Nesla. Nesla gets popped out on the board, blasts off a chain lightning, heals itself up, basically finishes off the fight. Now I did get kind of lucky because the Zobian did knock itself out. So quite fun, intense little skirmish, considering I definitely thought I was at a huge disadvantage with the amount of TemTem and health that I had, but I managed to get through it with the prevailing with the lightning TemTem. So that's going to be your strongest lineup for this battle, is coming in with a couple lightning TemTem, particularly the Gazuma and the Nesla. Now when you beat this guy, you get to take this TemTem here, which is extremely cool. It's the Anahir. Now, as far as I can tell, you cannot capture the Anahir anywhere else in the game, at least not at this point, or at least not in the stage that I'm in the game. And this guy is a fire crystal. He's been doing experiments with, you know, fire and crystal, trying to make extreme TemTem, and this guy's pretty cool. So the interesting thing about the Anahir is that traits that this guy comes with are both technically negative. So the first one is trauma, which is the one I got. When attacked by physical technique, decreases his defense by 1 stage. When attacked by special technique, decreases his special defense by 1 stage. Now he does start off with +2, and his SZV's attack and his SV special defenses are pretty much maxed out. So he has a very strong defense and a very strong special attack defense, but every time he is attacked, his defenses will go down. However, he starts with +2/+2 in each of those categories. So it's going to take 2 turns anyways to trim off that bonus armor, and TemTem don't seem to last very long in this game. It's not like they're out for 10 turns. They will take enough damage over 2, 3, 4 turns where they will eventually go down. So it's actually not that bad of a negative trait, but it isn't good either. The second one is Flawed Crystal. When attacked by mental, toxic, electric, it increases the damage against him with those types. So if he gets hit by mental, the next mental hit's going to do 50% more damage, and same with toxic and electric. So it's up to you to decide which you think is worse. Basically, one just lowers his overall defense slightly every time he's hit, but not by much, whereas the other leaves him extremely vulnerable to mental, toxic, and electric techniques. But here's the interesting thing. Crystal is resilient against mental, toxic, and electric techniques. They already only do half damage. So every time he's hit with those, it's going to basically slowly increase it until it's doing regular damage. But that's not too bad. It's already doing half damage to start, but it does kind of open them up to a little bit more weaknesses, as this TemTem, being fire crystal, is only really weak against earth, which is 4 times damage, and melee, which is 2 times damage. So now lightning, mental, and electric damage is sort of on the table, as they will do increased damage the next time they hit. So it's definitely interesting. I ended up getting trauma, which I think is the lesser of the 2 evils, since considering it's only 1 point defense lowered by the particular attack, whether it be physical or special. It's very interesting, but it's a very cool TemTem. It looks badass. It really does. So, but there are so many good fire TemTem in this chapter of the game. It's really hard to decide on which one I'm going to level up, but I think I'm gonna be sticking with the little fire lion, because it evolves 3 stages, is pure fire, and it looks pretty cool, and I like evolving my TemTem. But if I had a second pick, it's gonna be Anahir, I think. I think that's my second favorite fire TemTem. All right, so fun little boss battle here in today's video with a bonus TemTem for your collection at the end, with some interesting talking points with the negative traits on that particular TemTem. But if you guys enjoyed this video, the next one coming up, we're going to be going into the Mokopuni dojo and fighting Tihani, and she is a very tough lady with a nice variety of TemTem. You can kind of consider this dojo to be the wind and nature based dojo, which the last one was fire. So it's a very interesting battle indeed, as wind doesn't have a whole lot of weaknesses, and nature is pretty darn resilient too, and you won't have a whole lot of fire TemTem going into this one. And even if you do, she also has some water to counter you. So you have to really juke and jive her, and it's an interesting battle. So be sure to check in for the next video. I will be going up against Tihani in the next one. So be sure to subscribe and check out some more TemTem videos, everybody. If you guys enjoyed the video, leave a like, and thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you in the next video. Bye now.